Welcome to Books and Things. Nice to be here, and it's nice to have you people out there watching. And tonight's show is not going to be any different than any other one. It's always good. We have tonight an author. His name is James Bennet, otherwise known as Jim or Jimmy, and he writes under a pseudonym of James Michael Walker. And his book is about Sherlock Holmes. And I didn't know they still had mysteries growing out there. Jim, you did a great job. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I read your book, thank you very much. And I find it fascinating because I love fictional history. I read, Patty Brooks wrote a couple of books about horses. I learned more about horses in her two books. And I forgot what the mysteries were. But you bring back Sherlock Holmes flavor and the William Gillette, and take us through the Gillette Castle, which I thought was just fascinating because I've been there so many times, and I was trying to picture everything that you were doing in the book, where it was, and I got to hand it to you. I think it was amazing. What made you write about Sherlock Holmes?
Well,
or Gillette?
yeah, I've always been a big fan of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and Sherlock Holmes. I read them all when I was younger, and stuff. And I originally had wanted to write. I was going to write a Sherlock Holmes story, but then originally my Sherlock Holmes story was going to be him visiting Gillette's castle, which I thought because William Gillette being the man who brought Sherlock Holmes' character to America, on stage, that it would be a sort of a nice mix-up. But then the more I did research about Gillette's castle and William Gillette, I realized that, for all intents and purposes, he really was Sherlock Holmes in America. He brought Sherlock Holmes' character, he wrote the plays, and so many of the things that we associate with Sherlock Holmes, like the deerstalker hat, the phrase "elementary, my dear Watson," was actually William Gillette's.
And Doyle gets credit.
Yeah, he had something similar, but the shortened down "elementary, my dear Watson" was William Gillette. So I started, looking at it more and more, and I said, I would, instead of using Sherlock Holmes, use William Gillette, a real person. Yeah. And
I think we should point out that William Gillette was a very famous actor.
Actor, yes.
And that was his part was Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I didn't realize the stuff about him inventing all these things until I read your book. I said, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And and the Aunt Polly, which is a real boat.
Yep.
And everything you mentioned in it is really real, except maybe the submarine.
Yeah, that is not. I tried to, Charles Frohman was actually a producer of plays and his friend. And Ozaki was actually his manservant, valet, major domo.
Who wouldn't want a guy like him in your house?
So those three characters are real. The Aunt Polly's boat was real. Gillette's castle's real. The grounds are real. Yeah. Everything else is a story.
Yeah.
The rest of the characters and everything I made up.
It's a good story.
Thanks.
Really good story. I had a feeling as I'm reading through it, I almost had the answer, but not quite.
Yep.
And that's good because I don't want to figure it out.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. I was pollen in the air. But you're reading something and you want to be intrigued, and that book kept me intrigued. I was taking it to bed at night, and I was thinking, I got to finish this thing. But it was very worthwhile to read, and you're working on another one.
Yes. Yep. I hope. I mean, as long as people are willing to, read them, I'll keep writing them. I'm hoping to.
Oh, yeah.
I got sort of semi-plans for almost 5 books.
Wow.
I have the outline for my second book is almost done.
Yeah.
And then it has editing and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I have an outline for the third story, and then I have a bunch of notes for fourth and a fifth book. So.
That's cool.
I had to keep going on this for a while.
The thing with selling sequels is you may not sell number 1 to this guy, but he buys number 2 and he calls you up and says, I want number 1.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that people will, and I enjoy series and sequels. I think a lot of people do. They like to have
Yeah.
the
I
familiarity
know.
of the characters.
And I know, but
continuing,
what happened to 'em?
Right, right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I intend to keep going with it.
Good for you. Now, these books are available where?
Bank Square Books
Okay.
in Mystic, Savoy Books in Westerly.
Yeah.
They're on Amazon and Kobo, and there's always some in the back of my car.
Isn't that the place to have them?
Right.
You always got to have a bunch in the back of the car. And I've sold more down in the VFW.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's out of car. Go and get it.
Yeah.
But I think what you did a tremendous story, and you've managed to include just about everybody in the town.
Yeah,
was
I did.
anybody.
I did use a lot of my friends and people's names.
Yeah.
I felt kind of funny about it. I was hoping they wouldn't get offended or be angry about it or anything. But
Yeah.
I just found that it was easier for me, even though the characters, I keep telling them, the characters aren't exactly a reflection of you, but I keep your face in my head when I'm writing it.
Yeah.
Because that's how I sort of keep my characters in my
Yeah.
head, So, everybody so far has been pretty good about it,
Yeah, I haven't tried a mystery or stories or anything, and mainly because I get confused. What was Jim? Oh, I forgot. Now I gotta go back and read it over again. You have to make notes. Jim is da.
It is a process. One thing I did try to do, and I tried to be, I tried to make sure that I put down a clue, or it gives you the information, even though it might be in the first chapter and it doesn't come back up until the
Yeah,
last chapter.
yeah.
The information is there. The clues are there. It was always one of my pet peeves growing up watching movies and stuff where there'd be the big scene in the end and Charlie Chan would go, "Oh, but I got a telegram. I got this telegram last night you don't know about." Well, then how was I supposed to figure it out?
Yeah.
So I always try to make it, I always want to leave that trail of breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
So that you can go back. It takes a lot of work.
Oh, it does, because then you go, what'd I do with that?
Well, that's what happens. Sometimes you write a sentence, in chapter 11, and you go, "Damn it, did I include that in chapter 2? Because if I didn't, I got to go back and put it in. Then I'd have to go back and try to squeeze it in, and
Well, I thought Froman was interesting. How many times in that course of that book do you think he wanted to throttle Gillette?
Oh, plenty, plenty. I thought that was. I mean, there was always, even with Watson and Holmes, there was those irritating moments and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I did want to sort of continue that. But yeah, many times, because he was, especially since he knew him before he was Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
Or before
Yeah.
he took over the role.
And all of a sudden he's telling you things, and I didn't know that. Well, I didn't tell you.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
But Gillette expected him to know things.
Yes. Or expected him to remember things. Expected him.
Yeah.
You saw the same. A few times you point out you saw the same thing I did.
Yeah.
You're just not. Which is a big part of deduction and
yeah,
Sherlock
because
Holmes.
you don't see it the same way.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and it's just a matter of deduction.
It's like some people can do crossword puzzles,
Yeah.
but I love to do crossword puzzles. My wife does Sudoku. I look at a Sudoku, to me it's gibberish. I have no clue where to
Greek.
start and how to. She's explained it to me 50 times. It doesn't work for me.
And I love math. I don't do Sudoku. But that's writing. Now, you've been writing since you were 18?
Yeah, I have. I've always wanted to be a writer. It was always one of those things I said, well, I'm going to write a book someday. I'm going to write a book someday.
Yeah.
And I did. I wrote a lot of stories. I have trunks full, totes
Wow.
full of manuscripts and books and
Yeah.
stories and poetry and But life has a way of getting in the way. You have children, mortgages, payments, and the
course.
restaurant business is demanding on my time.
Yeah.
So I
should-
just never got around to it.
Should point out that you're a famous chef, or at least a chef.
Yeah. Yeah, but
And
I'm
it's-
the chef at the Seahorse Restaurant now down in Nowak. It's
Yeah.
where I'm now. But I've been around. I've been around the area for about 40 years.
Yeah.
I was at the Bootlegger in Groton.
Oh, yeah.
We had the Fisherman Restaurant in its heyday, and I spent a few years up at the Mohegan Sun. I did the golf course culinary up there.
Oh, wow.
You know, so
So you know how to cook.
yeah, I can do it. I can
I'll have to
throw
get
it
some
out.
lessons.
Yeah,
I like to cook, but for cooking for one is not fun.
yeah.
I need another person to cook for. Anyway, your love of the New England coastline is what keeps you here in,
Yeah.
in the local history. And there's so much history.
There is.
There is, like with my book, I wrote about the 50s. And most people write about the
Earlier,
1800s.
yeah.
And I thought, but I remember the 50s. And there's an awful lot of people that remember the 50s.
Yeah.
And the book is sold well, but it's a niche in time.
Right.
And
Right.
And it was a time that, like with Sherlock Holmes, I really never knew Gillette, except that he had built a castle.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, in Gillette's day, he was the Tom Cruise of his day. You know, I mean, his place, and he was famous, and he made a lot of money. To build the castle and
Yeah.
retire.
Now, how long did it take you to research the information?
Well, it kept more and more things kept coming up. I'd say probably a few years here and there. I started years and years ago at the library looking up the old microfilm articles and stuff, because they did articles back in the 20s and 30s about Gillette's Castle. Well,
Sure.
people have been writing articles about Gillette's Castle right up. So I took a collection of them and took certain facts out of each one. But history is funny that way, because what you think, just because you read it in a book, it doesn't exactly mean that that's exactly the way it happened. It's who wrote it when they wrote it. And
It's like you were just talking. Depends on whose eyes are laying on it and how.
well, I was kind of flattered, because a teacher had asked me, somebody, if she could use my book to teach a class, and the class was basically going to be about the difference between factual history and
Fiction.
famous lore or folklore.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And she was using the book to show how people, if you read this book in 200 years, you might think, wow, the whole thing was completely true,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of fascinating, when you look at it that way.
Yeah, because fictional history is you just take a time slot and putting a story into it,
Right.
and that's what's neat.
Right.
I read one the other day about John Wilkes Booth, and I think it was more history than fiction, but it was telling how he actually got to kill Abraham Lincoln, and I really kind of felt sorry for the guy, because nobody liked him.
Yeah.
And he did that so that somebody would like him. And then they hated him.
There's always that story behind the story behind
Yeah.
the story. And I think as writers, that's one thing you kind of look for, those little things,
Yeah.
One of the key components in my book was just really a small little footnote in the construction of the castle.
Yeah.
But it's, it just sort of popped out at me.
Now, when did he build that castle?
I started, I think, in like 1913, end of 1912, and it took him 5 years to complete it.
Wow. Took him that long to get the rocks all up there.
Yeah, the rocks rocks were quarried in Connecticut, and but the walls are 3 feet thick, and it's a
Wow.
big, well, you've been there, it's a
Yeah.
big place, a lot of rock.
Yeah, when we were talking before about the small rooms.
Yes.
But,
Yep.
And probably no electricity in there.
I think it did have
Now it
electricity,
probably
yeah,
does.
and it was modernized a little bit.
Yeah.
Thing. One of the kind of an interesting fact that I never realized was that it was a couple rented it
Really?
for years as a private home.
No kidding.
I didn't know that.
That was after he died, obviously.
Yeah, it was after he died. I don't know. I guess they leased it from the state. You know what I mean? And I've never
Did
heard
he
anything about
leave it
that,
to
but I
the-
kind of wonder about that.
Did he leave it to the state?
Yes, he did leave it to the state. He had no heirs. He was only married briefly for about 3 years. His wife died of tuberculosis, and he never remarried. Never had children. He had no heirs, and if I believe correctly, in his will, he wrote something along the lines of, "I'm going to leave it to the state because I don't want some blithering saphead to take it and turn it into something, crazy or stupid." So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, to this day, I mean, if you go up there, it's just absolutely beautiful. I mean,
It is, and the state has done a good job with it.
they have, and
Yeah,
especially
they
I'll tell you what, I have gone up a couple times. My book's also up there at the gift shop.
Oh,
So
good.
I've been up a few times this summer, and I have to give props to those guys because with the state budget cuts, they're very short-handed.
Yeah.
But you still go up there, and the lawns are cut, bushes are trimmed, everything looks beautiful.
Wow.
There's no trash, no.
And it's no admission fee, is it?
There's no admission fee for the park. I think if you take a tour inside the castle, it's a small.
Oh, okay.
It's a small fee. They give tours Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays now. But just till the end of Labor Day, and then they're done.
It's been so long since I've been here. I don't think they had tours.
Yeah. Yeah, they used to just
walk through.
let them open it up and let you walk around
Yeah.
and walk through and stuff. But
Yeah.
it's a little more. I think it's more organized now. They
Yeah,
take you through.
and probably a good thing because nobody ever explained anything to me. You just walk around, you
Yeah.
look at these room, and
Yeah,
And just-
I'm actually kind of hoping to take the tour myself here one of these days because I haven't been inside the castle since I was a kid.
yeah.
I didn't.
Let me know. I'll go with you.
Yeah, I never went up. To be honest with you, I never went up when I was writing the book.
Oh no.
No, for the years I was working on the book and stuff, I never went up because I kept thinking. Now, I mean, I saw millions of pictures on the internet and
Yeah.
looking around and stuff, but I was afraid that if I went up, I'd see something and it would change my.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I gotta change this. Gotta change this.
Or maybe William would catch us.
Yeah, and I changed so many things in the book so many times.
Yeah.
And it was finally, actually it was my brother who finally just said to me, he says, Jim, the only way you're going to finish it is if you just say, okay, it's done. And I said,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
So I didn't go up, but you know what? The first time I went up there, I walked around for 5 minutes. I was like, should have changed that. Should have put that.
Yeah.
Should have moved
Yeah.
that. I should have had this like this.
Yeah.
But it's
see, on
okay.
the
It's a
next
story,
one, on the next one, you can make the changes.
Yes, I'm gonna. I
Yeah.
intend to be a little bit,
Yeah.
a little bit more accurate with my measurements and my.
Yeah,
areas.
but your book was written earlier, so the next book will be written later, and
Yes.
the changes will have
Right.
been made.
Right. Yep.
So you can explain it away.
Yeah, I really wanted to. I wanted to write in that period too because, it's hard to write a mystery. I think these days, even though there's a lot of great authors out there like Patterson, people that do a fairly good job.
Yeah.
But so much of that deductive reasoning and, gathering clues and putting them all together and, sifting through everything is lost with forensic science. I mean,
Yeah.
pretty much now, one drop of blood, one hair, one,
Don't
one
bother
fiber.
checking, and I'll let you know.
Yeah,
who
one
did it.
fiber,
Yeah. Oh, it works like that on TV.
Yeah,
And you went, yeah, right.
yeah.
But there was somebody on TV, on the radio, newspaper today, stole a truck. And he found his hat and stuff inside the truck.
Yeah.
Say, okay, you're done.
Yeah.
But forensic science has really come a long way and gotten a lot of people guilty and a lot of innocent people off
Yes.
too. So it has worked both ways. The name of the book is The Case of the Flying Corpse. And if you'd like to know how the corpse was flying, you're going to have to read the book. Because that's the mystery. And I did almost figure that out. And there was a couple of clues you gave in there, and I said, wow.
Yeah.
Good idea. I'm just checking my notes. You see, you live in Mystic with your wife, Denise.
Yep.
Oh, and your oldest son, Gordon.
Right.
And your youngest son is In the military?
Yes, he's down in Virginia.
No kidding.
In the Navy.
And how old is he?
He'll be 22.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And maybe we can make a TV show out of this.
Well, I was kind of thinking about that. I mean, of course, you always dream about it, but but I thought, gee, it wouldn't be bad for the state either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To film a movie there.
Look what did a Mystic Pizza.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And who did the picture?
That was Glenn Ripple, my editor.
Yeah.
Took that picture.
Okay. That's a beautiful picture. If anybody's been up there, there it is.
Yep.
And that's
another one too. A different. That's from the second printing.
could you get a picture of Gillette?
Yeah, I think so. Yep. I intend to for the next book.
Yeah.
Put some pictures of him, and I'd like to also put some pictures of Froman, and
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah. The pictures are good because what you can't think of up here
Yeah.
is there, like a picture of the hat and the pipe. And,
Right.
And the cape and.
Well, most of the renderings you see in America of Sherlock Holmes are actually William Gillette.
Yeah.
The Strand magazine in London did their own. When they used to illustrate the stories, but in America, it's pretty much Gillette's face if you really look at it.
They've got this show on TV with the guy that he's supposed to be Sherlock Holmes. Talks with the accent.
Oh, Elementary, yeah.
I hate that show.
You know what? Once again, I don't think that you can really bring Sherlock Holmes into the modern day.
No.
I mean,
no.
I know it's wildly popular on the BBC and stuff, but one
Yeah.
of the things that they do which really irritates me is they throw out these little things, oh, I saw you stepped on a three-toed cat today.
Yeah.
But they never explain how.
Yeah, how would you
Every
do that?
time I make a statement, I
You
have an
back it up.
explanation for it. I can back it up, or I won't, or I won't put it in there.
Well, for one thing, I can't understand half the words he says.
Yeah.
I don't know what language he's
Yeah.
using, but I can't. I just was fascinated with the book. I think you did a tremendous job. And you had a nice write-up in the Wesley Sun
Yes, I did.
on Schlossberg.
Yeah, Steve Schlossberg gave me a nice.
Yeah.
He gave me a nice review, and Roger Zotti from The Resident gave me a nice review.
Did he?
too. Yeah.
I like Roger. He did a review for my son Todd for The
Oh,
Resident.
nice.
And he went on the internet, found somebody named Todd, and explained how my son died of an overdose of marijuana. And I went, where'd you come up with this?
Yeah.
So I called the paper. Oh, he just got the wrong person.
Oh God.
So then he did a review for the following week. But he was trying to make it simple by going on the internet and,
Right.
and getting the, no, you got to read the book.
Right. Yeah.
I like Roger. He's a nice guy. I never got upset with him. I said, but, jeez. Now, you mentioned that you have written a lot of books. What are their themes?
Well,
Any or just...
yeah, there was kind of all over the place when I was younger. I was a closet Trekkie for years, and I did write a few Star Trek novels that I thought, I would try. But they were more of a personal just practice for me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Put together. But I'll tell you, I was kind of pleased with myself. I wrote one book, one Star Trek novel, and I threw it in the trunk. And about 18 months later, there was an episode that was really close to what I had written. And I said, you see, I could have written that,
There's a... and I can't remember the words, but supposedly the universe throws things out, and certain people get it. You may have gotten the idea, but did nothing with it.
Right.
Somebody else got the idea.
Yeah, and I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that you can, that just if you thought of it, anybody can think of it.
Oh yeah, and I used to billboard magazines, and I used to make charts of all the songs. And my father said, "Why are you wasting your time? 2 years later, this guy comes out with this big book with all the charts. Yeah.
Yeah.
I only got a couple of minutes left, but I wanted to touch on that pulmonary embolism, which actually drove you to finish it.
Yeah, I'd been working on the book, but it was more of a hobby kind of thing, when I felt like it. And about 3 years ago, this October, I guess it'll be 3 years, I was in Long Island in Sag Harbor helping my mom do some yard work. I was pulling the stump out, and I couldn't breathe. I had a bad, So she took me to the hospital, and I'm sitting there, and they hooked me up with everything. They started pumping me full of this and that, And I'm like, okay, how long is this going to take? Because I got a ferry, I got a, ferry this afternoon. And he turned to me and he said, you about 15 minutes away from dying.
Wow.
He said, if you hadn't gotten here, he goes, you'd have been dead in 15 minutes. I guarantee you.
Well, that'll wake you
So
up.
I was in the hospital for 10 days. And when I was laying there, that's when I said to myself, you know what? If I am going to write a book and I am going to publish a book, then I got to do it.
Now it's time to do it. I'm glad you
I
did.
have to finish it. And it was, I have a little thing like every night I sit down. I might write 2 words. I might stare at the computer for a half hour.
Yeah.
Or I might write 4 pages. But every night, it's like taking medicine. I sit down and try to get some more done,
That's great. I'm glad you did write the book because I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a tremendous book, and I'm waiting for number 2 because I want to be able to read that one too. Right now, you can see Jim down at the farmers market in Washington Park on Tuesdays, and I'm not sure what days you're there, but it's a good farmers market, and we have other authors there.
Yep.
Get down there, and if you want a book, you have the email address on there, or contact me, and we can get there. Get your book. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I got a couple of notes before we close out. On the 27th of August, the Park Deck VFW will be holding a fundraiser for dinner for Harry Roth, a fellow Vietnam vet who has cancer. And we're trying to raise some funds for Harry and Nancy while he's out of work and help him meet some expenses. And perhaps if you can't go, you can send a small donation. You can contact me for more information. The 9th of September, local Lions clubs are holding a comedy night at the Groton Lodge of Elks. That's adult comedy. And there's the poster. Tickets are $20. Proceeds will be used for the needy and homeless in London County. And contact me for further information. Also, check my Facebook page because I put a lot of stuff up there. And thanks to SEC TV and my friends Frank and Frank, and helped me put this program on. They live on the donations also. That's how the only way this is free TV. And so if you like the shows, you afford a couple of bucks, they'd be happy to get it. We'd appreciate it. Thank you for watching. My email is santostom@comcast.net. You should be reading. This is a good book to start with. And cuddle up with a good book. We got fall coming soon. And I hate to say that, but you'll be cuddling up with a good book on some of the colder nights. See you next time. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.